TikTok, if you're joining from YouTube, if you're joining from Facebook, please say hello in the chat. Let me know where you're from. I see that someone on YouTube just became a member. I love to see that. Dalika Petanovic 7860. That's awesome. So did Christina. That is awesome. I am so glad for that, and I'm so glad just to get to know you in the future. So people, tell me where you're from. I see people joining in on TikTok. I see Ahmed. I see Ricardo, Haley. So great to see you guys here. Yeah, let me know in the comments where you're coming in from. I love to see all of the different countries and cities that are represented here when we do our live stream. As you know, it's Monday, and in the US, that is Cyber Monday. And oh, I see Anna saying hello from New York. Hello, Anna. We've got someone from Turkey here. We've got Costa Rica. Awesome. Nice to see you, Elena. Great to have you guys here. Potrero Beach, Costa Rica. Never been to Costa Rica, but I would love to go sometime. We've got Tiago says, I really like your work. Thank you, Tiago. I appreciate that. I'm getting some hearts here on TikTok. Love that. Thank you, everybody. So it's Cyber Monday. It is the final day of my sale here of Rachel's English Academy. Hello to South Sudan. Glad to see you here. And I'm going live with a student, Anna. We'll bring her on in a minute. We've got Daisy from Iraq. So cool. Soli from Bolivia. My parents used to live there. We've got people from Chad, from India, Seminole, Florida. Hey, Celia. So I'm going live today, and if you join during this live webcast, you can get an extra 10% off your Rachel's English Academy entry fee. But basically, what is Rachel's English Academy? It is a set of courses which uses video, but mostly audio. I've developed a method, a system for changing the physical habit of speech. Hello to you there in Libya. Hello to you there in Poland. Great to see you guys here. So I hope that by the end of this class, everybody feels that they understand how they can improve their English speaking, how they can change their habit, and that you guys all get curious and go check out rachelsenglishacademy.com, where you can see student testimonials. You can see inside the classroom with some videos, sort of how we do things. We've got someone from Peru. Hola, Harriet. We've got Algeria. I saw over here some Kurdistan. I saw Ethiopia, Venezuela, currently living in Barcelona. Hello, Alex. Somalia. So good to see you guys here. We've got people from the Philippines, Egypt. We've got Sahar from Egypt, says 54 years old. 54 years old. I love that. I love how when you've got a language, when you're learning a language, I have students from, like grade school all the way up through their 80s. It's so cool. We've got Paraguay. I love just the variety of people. Filipino from the Middle East. I love the variety of people that are learning a language and all of the different reasons why we're learning. That's why I love teaching. I get to know my students. I see somebody from Zambia is here, and I get to know them, they get to know me, but just through the teaching of the language, I get to learn so much about other cultures and what other people's lives are like. The reason why people study English, it's also so varied. Some people live here, some people don't. Some people it's for work, some people it's for medical reasons, some people it's simply for a hobby. So I just love getting to know so many of my students. So every month in Rachel's English Academy, I work live with a student. One of the students that I worked with was Anna. And Anna has volunteered to come work with me again here in this live stream. So I'm going to go bring Anna on in a second. If you guys have any questions, pop them in the chat. And I will be trying to keep an eye on them as I'm working with Anna, but also after I'm done working with Anna, I will take a look. So hello, one last final time to these people. Lebanon, I see so many people here. I'm so glad to see so many people showing up here. I'm going to go get Anna. Okay, so Anna, before I can turn on your camera here. I need to assign you to a placeholder. And I can do that right here. I know exactly how to do it. Okay. And now I need to change my screen. Okay, Anna. Yes, here you are. Here I am. We are both here. How are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm joining from New York. My name is Anna, and my first language is Russian. So here comes my accent and my ways of pronouncing things in English.
Anna, how long have you lived in New York or the US?
I've been in New York for almost 12 years. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
11 years. 11
Okay.
years. I came in December 2014, and now it's
Okay.
2025.
Did you come originally for school or for work?
I came for work. I was finishing my PhD studies back in Russia, but I was a visiting researcher at Weill Cornell Medical College, and
Uh-huh.
then I guess I stayed.
Okay. You stayed because you love it. Do you love New York City?
It's fine. I grew up in Moscow, and the transition was seamless for me.
Yeah. I've never met anybody who lives in New York and calls it fine. You're the first person I've met who said, New York, yeah, it's fine.
We have our moments. I don't
Yeah.
like the subway, but the city itself is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, I've written down one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, but I also wanted to see if you have anything. I know it's been several months since we worked together in a live class. If there's anything that's come up about something that you want to work on.
Yes, I have a question.
Uh huh.
Since our last time, I worked with the essentials and I finished model one, model two, and then I went back as you suggested.
Yeah.
And that going back was not as was not as as efficient as my first turn.
Uh
So for
huh.
some reason, I was enthusiastic the first time around, but
Okay.
the second time was more challenging.
Uh huh.
But also at the same time, I was preparing for the speech contests because in Toastmasters we have speech contests.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 weeks ago, I won the district speech contest here in New York.
Wow. Yay. Congratulations.
And when I was preparing for the contest, I followed some of your suggestions, how to work on melody, how to work on pacing. So I even put the music going so that I could match
Mm-hmm.
my stress syllables and so on and so forth. I tried a few things. Some of the native speakers have problems with my accent, and their recommendation is speak slower so that we can understand you. Sometimes I think that what they suggest me is not exactly what you suggest us to
Yeah.
do, and I wanted to learn more how to deal with that type
Yeah.
of feedback.
That's a great point, and I'm guessing that the people who are saying that are native speakers of English, but they're not accent specialists. They're whatever. They're engineers, they're teachers, this kind of thing. I think it's hard for Americans or anybody really to understand why someone is hard to understand. And so the obvious one that they think of is slow down. But that's rarely the main issue with understandability, in my opinion. Um, and I bet even if I said to them, "Is she too fast? Is that why you can't understand?" I bet they would be like, "Well, no." Because I don't think that's what it is. But like I said, a lot of native speakers would not know how to identify what it is, and so it seems obvious. We'll just slow down, and then it'll be easier. But it's actually not, because when you slow down, you reduce your rhythmic contrast, which is one of the things that makes English easy to understand. So I would imagine it's a mix of sounds along with actually needing to have more rhythmic contrast. That's one of the things that I wrote down, was a couple places where the syllables are very even sounding. And what I want you to do is not speed up everything, but just speed up the unstressed syllables, right? So your stressed syllables will still keep their length. If you sped up everything, then I would have to say, Anna, slow down. But that's rarely an issue, honestly, with people, especially from Russia. Every once in a while, it is an issue for me with students whose native language is Spanish, and it's all very da 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 da, and then I have to get them to slow down and do this with their stressed syllables. But I've never really had that with the Russian students. So I would say if someone is telling you need to slow down, I would just take that as a clue that I could still work on my understandability, but you're not going to want to work on it by slowing down.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm glad to hear that you went through Essentials Module 1 and 2. Now, when you got to the end of Module 2 and it suggested that you could go back, and I was actually expecting that would be easier, that it would have more flow for you to work with that. But you're saying it was actually harder. Can you tell me at all about what made that harder?
Yes, I can, because that was the time when I was preparing for my speech contest. I was working on my speech. I had to prioritize the practice of my actual speech and working with my real material. So I didn't see how I could fit it on my schedule.
Yeah. Okay.
I still try to implement some of the techniques that you suggested. And for example, for some sentences, for some phrases, I went to Yuglish.com.
Yeah.
I found the little phrases, and I would repeat over and over again some expressions that I thought that I had to make crystal clear.
Yeah. How did that work? Did that help?
Oh, that was an eye-opening experience for me.
Yeah.
Because I did clarify a lot of moments that I was not doing well. And in some points, for example, 9 a.m. So I wouldn't do like a.m. as two separate stressed syllables. So before it was like 9 a.m. But now that I went through that exercise, I know that I should say it in a different way.
Yeah.
And
it all connects, but it's got that a.m. Yeah, exactly. For those of you that don't know, Anna's talking about a resource called Yuglish that I recommend to my students. It's just Yuglish.com. It pulls from YouTube, and you can type in a phrase and it will give you back every example that it has in its database of that phrase being spoken. And you can narrow it down to being just American English, just British English, this kind of thing. But it's a really good way if you're dealing with a tricky phrase to hear various options on how a native speaker would say it. And then, of course, you can play it over and over and get that into your voice. And hopefully, if you're like Anna and you've got a background, you've done some studying, you know what you're hearing. You know what you're hearing. Oh, this is A and M are both stressed here, so I need to make that feel stressed. The more you know about pronunciation, the more you'll be able to pick up on when you study something like a phrase on Yuglish. So yeah, Anna, one of the things that I wrote down was a couple phrases where the syllables all seemed the same. Now let me put on my glasses for a second so I can try to put the syllable up on screen for everybody. I meant not the syllable, the sentence. Let's see, how did I do that? I'm so sure I can remember. Yes, I do it right here. I do that. Okay, the text I want to put in is, your phrase was, it'll take me a second to type, PhD. Okay, I'm gonna add it here. Okay, so this was the phrase, I was finishing my PhD. So when you said it earlier, this is sort of how it sounded like, I was finishing my PhD. I was finishing. And I don't want to hear was. I want to hear was, right? Exactly. And now let's link it into I. I was. Perfect. And also finishing. I don't want to hear fin-ishing. I want to hear fin-ishing.
Finishing.
Yes. Let's just take the last two syllables. Ishing. And let's play it, say it. Ishing.
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 Ishin.
Ishing.
Ishin.
Ishing.
Ishin.
Ishing.
Ishin.
Now I'm going to try to make it faster. Ishing.
Ishin.
Ishing.
Ishin.
Right. That was good. It got really quiet too. Ishing.
Ishin.
Ishing.
Ishin.
Now we're going to do the whole word. We're going to try to keep those unstressed syllables like this. Guys, if you're wondering what the heck we're doing, we're taking a stressed syllable, which is the first syllable, fin, and we're trying to separate it from the unstressed syllables, ish, ing, so we can really focus on making those so fast, so quiet, so simple, so little mouth movement, because it's this contrast between that and the stressed syllable fin that actually brings more clarity into our speech. Okay, so now we'll play it, say it with the word finishing. I'll say it and Anna will repeat it back, and we'll just go back and forth many times in a row. Finishing.
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 Okay, I love everything about that the whole time. The rhythm was so dialed in and the contrast was so clear. That is clearer than saying finishing, which is slower. Now, I will say the ing ending. You're giving me more of an in ending. Finishing, in. I'm hearing more in, and I want ing. That's it. Ing. Let's just play it, say it with that ending. Ing.
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 Now I'm going to put it into a word. Sing.
Sing.
Ring.
Ring.
Singing.
Singing.
Ringing.
Ringing.
Finishing.
Finishing.
So there it turned back into an N. Finishing. Finishing.
Finishing.
Yes. Yes. So that's, a lot of people do make that substitution in like a really casual conversation. Like, what you doing? Then I'm going to change it to an IN ending. There's nothing wrong with it, but if you're doing every ING ending that way, it would start to sound more like an accent. So I would say make sure that you're able to do the ING ending and that's the habit. It's fine if you pepper in IN endings. You will hear native speakers do that all the time. But to have your default be that ING. Okay, so we went from I was finishing to I was, and then we did finishing. And now I want to know, can we put them together? I was finishing.
I was finishing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to keep talking about the ING ending. That was an IN, but I'm not worried about that habit being broken. The rhythm there, the smoothness, that's what I'm looking for, because that's the feeling that helps me understand what's being said. And that's really what leads to understandability more than slowing anything down. I was finishing.
I was finishing.
Yeah, it's so good. And your ING was perfect there. I was finishing.
I was finishing.
Yes. And you guys, it's all about these words like was that become was. It's called a reduction. And when we do them, we naturally tend to link more, which is another thing that we want in American English. And there are a finite number of reductions. We can find them all and we can study them all. And when we really work them in to the overall habit of the voice, everything starts to sound more natural and starts to flow more. Let's just take the rest of this phrase, which was my PhD. And I don't want my, I want my.
My.
Does everyone hear the difference? The first way it feels stressed, my. And the second way it feels unstressed, my.
My.
Mm-hmm. My.
My.
Yeah. And now let me think about the whole phrase. I was finishing my PhD. So when we have letters in a row, it's always the last one that gets the stress. So P and H are both going to be kind of unstressed and flat. So we can actually think of connecting it with my PH.
My page.
Exactly, my PH.
My page.
My PhD.
My PhD.
Exactly. And then when we get to D, we have an up-down shape of stress and the length. My PhD.
My PhD.
Yes. Now here's one thing. What would happen if your voice came down even more? PhD. I think if it came down more at the end, E. that it would sound even more natural. PhD.
PhD.
Yeah, do it and see if you can do that a little bit faster so that it comes lower without being longer. PhD. D.
PhD.
Yes, D.
D.
Yes.
D.
That is the kind of pitch change that also makes things more clear. Believe it or not. D. D. D.
D. D.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, a shape of stress is always up and then down, but really the most important part is the down, the falling down. And when I say always, I don't mean always. Sometimes it's reversed if we're asking a question, but for most purposes, statements, PhD, it's going to be going down at the end. D. Okay. So that was great. Your I was finishing got really cleaned up. Now, another thing that you said, and I wrote it down. So let me change this phrase here that's on screen so that everybody can see the new phrase we're talking about. Oops. Okay. So this is something that you said when you were talking about, working on your speech. Without me saying anything, how do you think you should pronounce that?
For some phrases?
Yes. Did everyone hear that? Instead of for, she said fur. And that is what I heard when you were speaking earlier. So the good news is that's a habit. The word for becoming fur is a habit. Could it be shorter? Probably. Let me hear fur.
For.
Half as long. Fur.
For.
And part of it is taking out some of the volume in the air. Fur.
For.
Yes, exactly. So that took out volume, air. It even brought the pitch down in a way that sounded really good. Fur.
For.
And you guys, you might be thinking, well, hold on. This just doesn't even sound like a word anymore. And you know what? You're kind of right. It certainly doesn't sound like for. But this quality mixed into the sentence is what makes things so clear. And if that's what we're used to hearing, and then instead of for, we're hearing for, or that's one of the common mispronunciations where the R isn't really there and it's longer and stressed, that's where things become harder to understand. Okay, so let's say the whole phrase for some phrases.
For some phrases.
Yes, exactly. And also her some was said more quickly. Now, the reason why I wrote this down initially, when you said it, was two reasons. I liked your for reduction, but then the word some, I didn't love the placement of that. Now, here, when you were thinking about making it faster and going towards phrases, it kind of fixed itself, to be honest. And that's one thing that I think is super neat about working on your accent is we'll be focusing on one thing and it will fix many things about how you were speaking. But I do think sometimes that your placement is high. Some is how it came out the first time. So for everybody out there, I'm going to alternate between two different ways of saying some. And I want you guys to say yes in chat if you can hear a difference. Okay, here we go. Sam, some, Sam, some, Sam, some, Sam, some. Anna, can you hear a difference?
Yeah, it sounded to me that the higher one, it was as if the sound was coming from here, and the lower one felt a little bit
Yes.
here.
That's exactly how I would describe it too. Now let me think for a second, what am I changing physically to make those two things happen? Because people, if you will notice, the pitch didn't change. Like the melody of it was the same. The length of it was the same. The volume was the same. Okay, so let me think. Sam, some, Sam. Okay, so if I'm going to imitate the higher placement, which is what I kind of heard from you the first time through, Sam. In order to do that, Sam, sa, ah. There's definitely something here that I'm lifting up, Sam, in order to bring the resonance more here. And then when I don't want to do that, some. It all relaxes and falls back. Some. Can you try to alternate back and forth between the two?
I think I should discover the lower one first.
Okay, sure. Sometimes doing the contrast helps us find it, but definitely if you just want to play with that, go for it.
Some.
Yeah.
Some.
I love that.
Some. some, 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 some,
So
some,
try to lift this a lot and try to bring in a lot of neck tension. Sam.
some, 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 some.
How would you describe, I mean, are you feeling something changing in your neck?
In not in the neck, but I do feel if I go higher, I feel it resonates against my,
Uh-huh.
the upper,
Yes, the hard palate.
yeah, hard palate.
Uh-huh.
And this is another thing I noticed when I watched my recordings, because when I was preparing for the speech contest, I recorded myself, and then I looked at how I pronounce, and I could see a lot of tension in my jaw.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that before, because it's not, my first time working on my accent, but
Yeah.
I could still feel how tense this part
Yeah.
was, and that I could work more on relaxing it so that
Yeah.
it would fix
So you
some.
could see it. Not only do you feel it, but you could see it in your video.
Yeah.
So when you're going some and you're bringing it further down, do you feel that you're releasing tension, or how do you is it just an
I
imagination
just
thing?
feel where the sound is. If I
Uh-huh.
if I say some, I feel the resonance
Yeah.
here,
I
as
love that.
opposed to
I
here.
love it. Okay, say some a few more times, feeling the resonance low.
Some, some, some,
Mm-hmm.
some,
It's perfect.
some.
And that feeling is what I would love for you to try to have everything you say feel like it's coming from there. I don't know if you have seen yet, depending on which exact lessons you've done in the academy, but we have a visualization one where I actually have my students pretend that their mouth is here. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I do it a few times, especially in the new daily plan I just released. But again, it's like, where is the vibration happening? If you think of it as happening down here, that's going to force more relaxation here, and you might not even notice it, because in your native language there might be some tension here that feels natural to you because that's your native language. But in American English, when we want it down here, we have to kind of find ways with our mind to let go of these muscles that we don't even know that we're using. And so picturing the
Hmm.
mouth there can work. And like you said, you're just simply feeling it there in a way that is helping you to relax the neck to make that happen. So with that in mind, why don't you tell me what you're going to do after this call? You can make it up if you want to. And before you start talking, think about that lower feeling of placement.
I think I'm ready.
Okay?
So after this call, I'm gonna work on the slide deck for my Wednesday's presentation. I am delivering a presentation at work about
Okay,
my
hold on. Hold on. First of all, delivering. That's another in that I want to be ing. Delivering.
delivering.
Okay, I'm going to write down a phrase and then I'll type it in here. And then we're going to work on, I mean, overall, especially when you said, I think I'm ready, I felt like your placement was definitely lower. Okay, I'm going to work. Okay. Save. Okay, so here's our phrase. Now, the thing that's great about English speaking is we use so many reductions, just like we talked about with the was reduction and the word for. Reductions, because we say them so quickly and quietly, they also help us release some tension here. It's another way to work on placement. And going to is so often going to be gonna. And you can even take your I'm and also make that reduced. I'm gonna.
I'm gonna.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's quieter, it's lower in pitch, it's vibrating here. I'm gonna.
I'm gonna.
Now let's play it, say it, because I think you can get your gonna faster. Right now it's a little bit gonna. Yes, very good. I'm gonna.
I'm gonna.
I'm gonna.
gonna,
I'm gonna,
gonna,
I'm gonna.
gonna.
And again, there might be people out there being like, whoa, terrible, terrible teaching. That's so unclear. But it is by itself. But we never speak in sentence fragments like that. I'm going to work.
Gonna work.
Exactly. Now we have, guys, the key is rhythmic contrast. That's what makes it clear. When she takes I'm gonna and she makes it I'm gonna, it makes it this short. And then work, we get the length and the up down shape of stress. It's the difference that matters. That's our anchor as listeners, is that rhythm, the difference in the rhythm. Okay, so let's just say it, that phrase again. I'm gonna work.
I'm gonna work.
Yeah, I'm gonna work.
I'm gonna work.
I'm gonna work.
I'm gonna work.
Yes. Now, one thing I think, I think your vowel could be a little bit lighter by maybe bringing your tongue tip forward a little bit. Yes. Again. Yes, I like that. It feels just a little bit more free. Does it feel any more free to you? More relaxed?
Not at the moment, because everything is in a transition state.
So are you thinking of bringing the tongue a little bit more forward?
I don't know what I'm thinking about.
You know what? That's okay, because sometimes it's just about repeating and it's not about thinking. And that's a very good way often to find the right sound, is to not think, just imitate. Work.
Work.
Yeah. So maybe you can't identify it yet, but I can tell you that that is a freer, more natural sound than work, than what you were doing before. So you know what? Just go to the vowels and diphthongs course, find this vowel and just do that, and just know, hey, my habit right now for this is a little tight, but if I just play it, say it, it's gonna loosen right up, and I don't need to think about it. I don't need to know why. Okay. So you're going to work on your slide deck. Now, on my, another set of words that's going to have the smaller, shorter, quieter feeling. So on my becomes on my. Yeah, like I don't even think I'm saying the N really. On my.
On my.
On my.
On my.
On my.
On my.
On my slide.
On my slide.
Yeah, on my slide deck.
On my slide deck.
Yeah, on my slide deck.
On my slide deck.
Yeah, that's it. Rhythmic contrast. That leads to clarity for sure. And also, in general, I think when you do this, it cleans up everything, because when you have to focus on those shorter unstressed syllables, it's bringing down your placement, which is sort of tweaking your sounds to just give them an overall more natural sound too. So it's like you're not thinking about your sounds, you're not focused on them, but they are improving because you're lowering your placement through feeling the vibration here, through those reductions. And you probably learned this by going through Essentials 1, but when you're thinking about a reduction like at, and here in this case it was gonna, you were doing it correctly in that you were saying gonna. But I said, can we do it half that length? Gonna. And you were able to find it. So sometimes, we got the right idea and we've stepped into that way of being, but the question I often have is, can we take half of that away still? Gonna work.
Gonna work.
Exactly. Gonna stay.
Gonna stay.
Gonna leave.
Gonna leave.
Gonna see.
Gonna see.
Gonna know.
Gonna know.
Gonna eat.
Gonna eat.
Gonna sleep.
Gonna sleep.
Gonna take.
Gonna take.
Exactly. And so, it's like we just take the smallest segment that we can, and we just over and over, the more you do it, the more you release. That sounds great, Anna. I love that you're kind of starting to find a lower placement too. The daily plan courses that we just released today, we started a new daily plan, and the first 3 units are all about placement. And they're all about this. And I give you like 5 or 6 different ways to work on the lower placement. And that will help you do your reductions faster, which will help your rhythmic contrast, which will help you be easier to be understood. So don't listen to the people that say slow down.
Yeah, I figured that out.
Yeah. Awesome. Anna, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being willing to be here and for being in the Academy. And hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much,
All right.
Rachel.
Thank you, Anna.
Bye.
Okay, guys, I'm going to take a look at some questions that have come in. Oh, there, I can go back to the middle. There you can see my lovely bed. Okay. How's everybody feeling? For some people, I use words like placement and they think I've never even heard this word before. Placement is, oh gosh, I've just spent a lot of time working on new placement lessons for the Academy, and it's sort of like the overall sound of the voice, and it affects everything that comes out of your mouth. There are different ways to work on it, but it's a lot like an instrument. Why does a flute sound different from a violin? Why does that sound different from a bass? It has to do with like the shape of the instrument, the material, metal versus wood, this kind of thing. When you start to study the voice and how you make your instrument shaped, then you start to learn how American English has this overall sound that's different than your native language. Someone's asking if I can imitate the French placement. If I had someone right here, I can say it very well. Pulling it out of my mind, not so good. But I do know that a lot of French speakers, when they're thinking, they'll be like, and it's a very kind of nasally feel. And when we're thinking, we'll be like, and it's a very much lower kind of feel. Actually, a great thing to do, I see that La Vida, I don't have my glasses on, La Vida Red has asked this question. A fantastic way to understand placement as a French speaker or as anybody is for you to go to YouTube or go to the internet in general and search for Americans speaking French. And you try to find, as many good examples of Americans speaking French poorly. And I don't mean grammar or vocabulary. I mean the sound, the accent. You find the examples of the strongest American accent in French that you can find, and whatever they are doing is exactly what you need to try to do when you're speaking American English. So it's actually a really great exercise to imitate Americans speaking French with an American accent. Then you can really think about, wow, what am I changing to speak French with this terrible American accent? You think about it, you feel it. You try to feel that staying in your voice when you practice English. I have one student in the Academy, Sean, and I actually just, yes, exactly, someone with a thick accent, like the thickest American accent you can find. I have a student named Sean in the Academy. He's Chinese, and there was a famous clip of an American actor, John Cena, who was speaking Mandarin. And of course, he was speaking it with an American accent, an American placement. So what this student, Sean, did is he started imitating John Cena speaking Mandarin in an American accent. So he was speaking his own language, but imitating this actor's way of doing it. And that really helped him find that lower placement. And I will say the change he made was unbelievable. I actually made a video specifically about him, his before and his after, and people asked him for tips, and he made a video about that. I put that right in the Academy because it's just so shocking. And you all probably, almost everybody out there has probably heard an American speaking their own language poorly, with an accent. I shouldn't say poorly, whatever. With an accent, right? And that's a good clue. That's a good tool to use. So placement is so important. It's just every sound that comes out of our body is resonating somewhere, and the more natural of a placement we can give it, the more natural it's going to sound, and the easier it's going to be for other people to understand you. Someone is asking me to say something in French. It's the same person. You know what? I actually did study French like 10 years ago. Not with a native speaker of French, though, so I don't know. I don't think I have much of an accent. And I don't even know if I can remember how to say anything. I think if I'm going to say I want a glass of white wine, now don't make fun of me here. Well, whatever, you can. I am in no way a good French speaker. Je voudrais un vin, je voudrais un tasse vin blanc. I don't even know if I remember the words. Anyway, there we go. You have it. You can use that as a way to find the American placement in French. So everybody, have you signed up for the Academy yet? If you haven't, why not? You've got an extra 10% off right now with the code LIVE10. It's the last day. This deal ends at midnight tonight, the end of Cyber Monday. We've had lots of students sign up. This is such a good time to sign up because we have so much good new energy in the Academy after every Black Friday sale. And it's just so exciting. New students start discovering, come here. My son came to say hello. Stony, you're alive on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook right now. Isn't that crazy? No, okay, go away. If you're going to be silly, go away. Close my door. Close my door. Go. Close it. Okay, he totally distracted me. Hello there, Turkey and Martinique. Yes, the good energy that new students bring. It's just, the Academy is such a fun place to be because, I'm sorry, but I have the most interesting students in the world. I'd love you to be one of them, to get to know them. But also, I do need to stress that, so I've been teaching the American accent for a couple decades, and I've learned so much from my students about how to teach. But the number one thing that I've learned is that my methods and techniques will only work if you put in the time. It's not about sitting back and watching a video the way it is on YouTube. It's about actively engaging with all of the audio and doing the training. That's where the habit changes. I cannot do it for you. So if you have no time really to work on your accent, signing up for the Academy and watching videos won't do it for you. You need to have dedicated time. And I tell everybody to start with essentials because that's really where you learn the technique. Some people are asking, how can I get it? Go to rachelsenglishacademy.com. And don't forget to use the code LIVE10. But yeah, the method works, but only when you put in time. Also, it's not hard work. You don't have to stress about it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to really try. All of the transformation is built into the method. You just come, you go through the lessons for that day, you repeat it out loud. With the method, with the structure, it becomes your habit and it feels so good. You start to sound so relaxed and feel so confident. So please go check it out. We do have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you try it and you don't think it's going to work for you, then just let us know. There's really no risk. You know, that it happens from time to time that people ask for a refund. We give it to them and we wish them well. And we will do the same for you. So there's no risk for trying it out. And, you know, I think you might be pretty surprised at the transformation that you see. So check us out at rachelsenglishacademy.com. If you missed the Black Friday sale, you know what? The price is still reasonable. So if you can't sign up today and you want to sign up tomorrow, still do it. But today is the day to get the right price. Okay, guys, thank you so much. It was wonderful to see you. Thank you for saying hello. And I enjoyed getting to know some of you in the comments. Take care, everybody.